What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show. Me, Sean Sheehan, here on Sherdog.com. And today, I am back with another Fight Night review as I look back on one on Prime Video 23. And honestly, just as I sit here now, I think this might be a candidate for card of the year. There was, I know there was only 4 MMA fights, so maybe not MMA card of the year, but maybe martial arts card of the year. There was some very, very good knockouts, some very, very good fights, and in the main event, probably the most grueling fight of the year between Alibek and Rasulov, who won the unanimous decision over Ok Young, and a fight that really could have gone either way. It was one of those fights, and we'll get straight into the fights here because there's a lot to talk about, to be honest, because it was a very, very intriguing card. It was one of those fights in the main event where if this fight was scored round by round, it'd be not an easy fight to score, but it would be a more straightforward fight to score. But it's interesting watching a lot of fights now in One Championship. I don't look at them that way anymore. I'd have to go back and completely watch that fight again to score it in the 10-point must system. But watching it as scored as a whole fight, it was really a fight that Rasulov was ahead of almost all of the way, but that I think Capoza tweeted going into the 5th round that anyone could take this because there hasn't been a big moment yet. And no big moment ever came, but big periods of the fight came for Ok Young. The start of the 4th, and I'll run through the fight here in a second, but the start of the 4th and the very end of the 5th as well, like the very end, the last maybe 80 seconds of the 5th round were the most dominant and best period of the fight for either man. So I honestly, no, I'll say this first of all with the knowledge that I picked Ok to win the fight. You know, I probably would have just given it to him. Now, as well, the last week I did do the preview and said I was very torn, and I only picked Ok based on experience. And funnily enough, what I thought actually did get him through tonight was the experience, was landing those little shots a little bit extra when you did need to land them. But it was nip and tuck. It could have gone either way. I did think the best thing I think from Rasulov throughout that whole fight was he was slightly ahead in the clinch the whole way. Like every time, as I said, we'll get to it in here in a second, but every time Ok Young was landing, he was landing. And he was landing, I felt a little bit better. And just ahead and ahead and ahead. But, you know, scoring the fight as a whole is a little bit different to that. And that, you know, you could get caught winning a fight or going at a fight like that. But he didn't in the end, and he ended up winning it. So let's get into it, and let's talk about the rounds individually. So round 1, both started out with hard leg kicks. A right hand from Rasulov was the first big punch of the fight, and then Ok was kicking the body pretty well. Ok landed a nice jab, and that kind of set his style up. But Rasulov was landing the better leg kicks early. There's a nice left hook from Rasulov, and then the fight got into the clinch. And we saw clinches over and over and over throughout the fight. There's some McGregor elbows in the clinch here in the start. Sorry, McGregor shoulders even. In the start of the first round, Rasulov went for a single leg, which he didn't do often during the night, to be honest. But Ok got the overhook and got to a knee very, very quickly. Didn't really get taken down at all. Got to the quarter mount, but again, up, and a right hand on the break from Rasulov was probably the best shot in there as well. Then Ok landed an elbow while they were still in the clinch, and Rasulov was holding that single but just couldn't get it. Close in, very close, like hugged together clinch. Both landed some hard short shots, and there'll be a lot of repetition in this review of this fight because that was basically a lot of sharp, hard, short shots. That was a very hard sentence to say, but that's what was happening here. Started the second, Ok landed a lovely jab, but Rasulov jabbed him back. You know, Rasulov, you know, he was kind of landing the low calf kick himself, and then actually dived on kind of a low calf to get the fight to the clinch, but they separated pretty quickly. Ok was landing some low kicks. He landed a counter hook, and at this stage, actually in the second, and you know, this might be a good argument as well for maybe why Oak should have won the decision. I do think there was a period in the second round where Oak was winning because he started landing that counter left hook and it stopped Razulov from coming in for a bit. So Oak was landing his jabs, he was landing his low kicks, and it took a Razulov combination to kind of bash his way in after that. But I did think there was a period there where Oak had the better of it as well in a more meaningful way than a kind of a 55-45 clinch, if you get me. The clinch didn't last long at periods here, though, and Oak stung him with a nice three-piece as well. But it was kind of to clinch, back to clinch, out of the clinch, back to the clinch. And through 2 rounds, Oak seemed very unfazed by it. You know, he wasn't getting dominated really there. He was losing the clinch battle, but he wasn't. And I was like, all right, he's kind of playing the short game here. And it's funny enough, like, thinking now about it, I think he won the second round probably, and he won the 4th and 5th round as well. You know, if I was doing the 10-5 system, so there you go. But again, we'd need to watch it back. But towards the end of the second in, Razulov landed from the break, but Oak landed the next 4 hard shots. And that was really, you know, if you were talking about taking him down, I think that it did it there. The Oak underhooks as well in the clinch really, really helped him at that stage. So I was kind of thinking at that stage, okay, Razulov is beginning to have issues. We'll see where this goes from here. I think it'll probably turn towards Oak, but it didn't. You know, Razulov landed right hand to start the 3rd round, and then Oak was kicking all around, kicking low, high, and everywhere. Left hook in space was a lovely shot from Oak, and you know, at this stage you're thinking, okay, right, he's starting to find space, he's starting to land his kicks, he's starting to land, you know, everything he needs to land here to win this fight with a tiring fighter. But Razulov landed a counter. And I talked about it last week, the way, and there's another fighter coming up next week actually in PFL. Me and I talk about this as well, but he kind of defends with his hips. You know, he moves in and out, and with that left hand counter hook, he did that here, and the defense was very, very good for him, and I think that helped him in this 3rd round. And then back to the clinch. You know, long exchanges, both landing. It was like they were tied together, literally, like, you know, belly button to belly button almost for long periods of this fight. You know, Razulov was getting slightly the better of it. Herb was warning him, but I don't think there was any need for a warning. You know, it was a grueling clinch, but there was stuff landing in the clinch. Razulov landed a lovely uppercut on the break, and then Oak landed a hard right hand, but then a kind of a tight clinch then started at times. Where they're in the middle of the cage with the tight clinch, and they're landing lovely short shots there. Oak goes for a trip, but he lands on bottom, and he looked very tired at that stage. And you know, he nearly got a triangle, but he got back to his feet off of it. Then he didn't nearly get a triangle, but he nearly got into a triangle position. Let's put it that way. Boxing exchanges start the fourth, with both landing well. Oak slightly better than Razulov, who went for a proper takedown for the first time in a long time. You know, I mentioned at the start he went for a single leg. Not really much after that, to be honest, until the 4th round here, but it was no good. And I was thinking at that stage, okay, this is a bit of issues here. You know, Razulov was pushing forward, but Oak was definitely landing the better at the start of the 4th. Big knee from Razulov, kept him in it though. And that was a very, very good knee. And I think for the first maybe like 2 minutes of this round, Oak really, really had the better of it until that knee, and then a clinch again. You know, both landing short shots. At this stage, Oak was landing more, and he landed a nice elbow, but then he started bleeding, and I think it was, they showed a few shots. They showed a knee, and it didn't look to me like that's what cut him, so I'm not exactly sure what cut him, but he got caught anyway, and after that was an absolute grueling clinch, and you could see at this stage that Oak was no longer content in the clinch, because at the halfway through the 3rd, maybe a little bit more than halfway through the 4th, maybe a little bit more than halfway, he got so tired. And I think this is a big part of what lost him the fight as well. You know, they got back at it after they broke from the clinch, and Oak did land a hard right hand, but Razulov landed some very, very nice stuff. But the good first half of round 4 wore out Oak, and Razulov came on strong. I think both landed some elbows, so not too strong, but, and also let me just say this, at the end of the 4th round, that cut man was absolutely terrible. Like, he didn't seem to do anything to try to stop the bleeding. Came on when everyone was, you know, Herbie was calling him back with this big splodge of Vaseline. First punch, the Vaseline goes flying into fucking Miss Chilson and in the side. Like, it was just awful cutman work altogether. But Oak landed a barrage of punches in the 5th, hard left hook, again clinch, but Oak landed a lovely uppercut. But he fought his way into the clinch, broke, into the clinch, broke. Both landed elbows again inside in the clinch, and Oak landed a lovely spinning elbow inside there. Razulov went for a low single. Oak nearly got his back from it and got to the crucifix position, and he stood up into the clinch. And in the last minute was all Oak Cray Young. He landed hard right hands, loads of right hands in the last minute, and he finally hurt Razulov. Serious shots late, and I thought Razulov, if he had another minute, he could have been out of there, but maybe not. His chin was unbelievable. That was the first time he showed that any of those shots hurt him. And I think that's what won him the decision, honestly, and what saved him. But, you know, watching it back, or reading it back here now, the notes, and thinking back at it, I like all the middle bits, Razulov won, right? He was slightly better at the clinch. Now, he dominated the clinch itself. He dominated the position. He was slightly better at the activity in the clinch, right? He landed the better elbows, the better punches in the clinch, the better knees in the clinch. He landed all of that, right? But the bigger things all around it, like the end of the first, the start of the second, the end of the second, period in the third, the start of the fourth, long period for the start of the fourth, and the end of the fifth. There were bigger periods for Oak, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the first Oak and Christian Lee fight a bit of a controversial decision. I'm not saying this was a controversial decision. It was very close, not by no means a robbery or controversial or anything like that. But I think Oak should have won. I think Oak should have won, but that's neither here nor there. A great win. Look, Alibeg Rasulov, this was his first fight in one championship. He'd never fought anyone near this level, and he went out and he put on a great display. Called out Christian Lee as well after it, so that's a fight we very much could see down the line. So that's also, I should have mentioned off the top, unfortunately I didn't. He missed weight, so he doesn't win the interim title, doesn't have the title to call out Christian Lee with. I wonder will Christian Lee want to take it. I know one championship have the weight and then the hydration and all of that, so maybe it's a little bit different in one championship. Maybe he'll still get it. We'll see. Co-main event then. Oh, this was a banger. And I'll be honest, there was a lot of bangers on this card, a lot of great knockouts. And this was both a banger and a great knockout. We had a bantamweight Muay Thai between Nico Carrillo from Scotland and Simapet. Simapet started out with a combo, then Carrillo landed a leg kick in the left hand by Simapet, and a combo on the corner for Carrillo. And the corner all night, there was a lot of great activity in the corners, I'll put it that way. But both looked a bit nervy because, if you watch Carrillo here, the veins were fucking bulging out in him. But it was all like, it felt all pent up for both of them here, and they were throwing hard. But there was a level of like uncomfortability in the first, and could you blame them? The level of fighters they're both fighting against, both landed a lot of hard blocked shots. Is one thing I noticed here. Like, I got help their elbows and their body and the side of their shoulders and stuff after this, because the level. But both landed good left hooks. Carrillo was the one pressuring. He landed a series of right hands that hurt Simapet, and then a series of knees. Simapet weathered it as they were getting towards the end of the round, and went toe to the toe as the bell went. So, I was kind of thinking, okay, Carrillo might be getting the better of it here, but Simapet came back. So I was like, okay, going into the second, let's see. Simapet 100% started better in the second, landed a lovely inside leg kick and the second one, and now he's fighting out of the pressure. So the pressure wasn't getting him as much. I was thinking, okay, this is good for him. This is kind of what he needs to do. But then Carrillo dropped him with a big left hook. So you have to pay the cost to be the boss. And that's exactly what he did. He tried to fight out. He tried to boss the fight, and he paid the cost by getting blocked and dropped with that left hook. Then Simapet wobbled him with a straight left after it. Simapet wins the next hard exchange in, and then he drops him with a left hook again, and then a hard right hand to finish it. So I think they started, and the fight was finished in. I think it was finished because there was 3 knockdowns. I think I might have said 4 there, but there was 3, I believe. And I didn't realize until afterwards, but he was badly enough hurt to stop it anyway. I think even without the 3 knockdown rule. But yeah, I believe it was finished because of the 3 knockdown rule. But this Nico Carrillo is a beast. And if you're listening to this from Scotland, you have a good one on your hands there. Absolute beast. Oh, here we go. Do you want to listen to me commentate on a 10-minute bore fest of a grappling grappling match here? Well, here you go. You got your wish. Right. I don't have a whole lot of notes in this, but this is what I got. So Tyra Tolo took on Joseph Shin, and for the first 3.5 minutes, this grappling match was standing up. So there was nothing on the ground. Ty went for a takedown. No. A lot of wrist and head battles, head control battles. Ty falls off of a trip. There was like a double wrist fight at one side. Jeez, my notes. Ty did a throw, but he got up with the wizard, did Joseph. And in 3.5 minutes in, Ty gets a double leg. But the butterfly hooks were real. The story of this went for a quick footlock, but didn't get. I honestly, I looked down the right notes, I didn't even see it, but they said he went for a footlock. Ty pushing down in the neck then, but he couldn't pass. You know, he stood on the calf of Joseph, who did unbelievably well to keep retaining his guard and retaining his butterfly hooks, and would not allow Tyra Tolo to pass at all. He did it like it was a joy to watch. Actually, the defensive ability of Chin here, it was a defensive match, like, and I think that was nearly the best of it. He could not pass. He moved to north-south at one stage, but Chin adjusted and gets him back to the guard, the butterfly hooks again. Chin went for a leg, and he almost landed on top. Then Ty almost got the back, but then they got back to the guard again. And Chin's guard was absolutely impregnable. There was no way getting through Joseph Chin's guard. Chin attacked underneath him then, but then Ty got the side control. He was covering up his mouth from on top and all. Then Chin went for a heel hook and forced Ty to defend very quick, and then it was over. And Tyra Tolo, I believe, ended up winning that. Do I have the results of that here? I'll find them. But yeah, I believe he did end up winning that. I would have given it to Chin. I think that late heel hook was the best thing that happened in the whole fight. And yeah, I would have given it to him because of that. But there's all rivalries. Not really. No, I've no idea how you would score. But yeah, Tyra Tolo did win the unanimous decision there. Right, the next fight then was a very interesting fight between Kang Ji-won and Kirill Grushenko. If you listen to the betting show, I did tell you Kirill Grushenko would win this, and he did it plus 130, so you could have won some money. Thanks, Johnny. I will say one thing here about this fight before I get into it, because this bit of analysis, I think, is the key. Kang Ji-won obviously thought Kirill Grushenko was going to grapple him here. Now, I did in my initial thoughts as well, but then I watched Kirill back, and he didn't grapple anyone, really. No, he strikes with everyone. So I was thinking, okay, he will strike with him. But Kang Ji-won didn't think that for a second. He was fighting a fight against the grappler for the whole 15 minutes, whereas Grushenko was fighting a striking fight. Okay, the last round a little bit, which we'll get to, but he did very little grappling or very little thinking about grappling. He was going out to strike one. Actually, there was one stage, and they even mentioned it on the commentary, where Kang Ji-won kind of fell backwards in a position where, you know, most people, even strikers, would like fall on top of him and try to get on top. And Kirill didn't do it. He had no interest in the grappling. He was happy to strike with him, which meant I think Kang Ji-won could have opened up a bit, could have threw his wheel kicks, could have threw a few of his leap and left hooks. Although he did try them, but he was fighting a boxing match against a taller, better boxer, really, and that's what beat him. But let's get into the run-ins of the fight. So in the first round, Kang was on the outside. Kirill was landing some leg kicks and a lovely body kick as well, but very low output to start it off. Kang fighting out of the southpaw, but Kirill was landing some lovely counters, his leg kick and his right hand. Kang landed a hook off each hand in, and the first big hard shot was a right hand from Grushenko. Body lock from Kirill then got him to the clinch, and obviously he's a Greco guy, so he loves that position, but he wasn't married to that position either. Landed a few knees, both of them did. Kirill won that battle without a shadow of a doubt, and then he broke, you know, after a couple of warnings, and you know, he run around it. Not much landed there. Both were more loose at the start of the second, and Kang was trying harder here to land, but it led to Kirill landing the counter right and then kind of getting to the clinch. But there was a break, and Kirill, as I said, happy to strike. Very happy to strike. Landed a right hand. It was lovely all night. He was sticking with his jab, and sticking and moving, you know. So much so that Kang Ji-won started to go for the clinch. right? So you have this wonder boy like striker here, and he's the one going for the clinch. That tells you a whole story there. Grushenko spins off the break and landed, kind of half landed. There was a bad clash of heads in. And I'll be honest here, right? The fight was going very bad for Kong Ji-won. And I was kind of thinking, is he playing it up here? Because we didn't get a good camera angle. It was the opposite side of it. But then he turned around and God almighty, his whole head was like, it was swollen, but in like a circular way, and it felt like there was an indentation almost in his head. It was a real nasty clash of heads, and I'll be honest, if that fight had stopped there, I think it would have been fair. It looked really bad. Now he was already, his eyes were already kind of swollen before that from punches, but yeah, the fight could have been stopped there. I'll be honest, but they got back to it anyway. Kong standard land if you in. This is probably the best period of fight for him, but Grushenko answered back, and he just seemed to have more power as well. The jabs were rocking the head of Kong back, and as I said, this is really where it illuminated to me that he game planning for a wrestler, not a striker. Kong was more urgent in the start of the third round. He came in with a few strikes, but then it got to the clinch. Kong sprawled to stop a takedown, and there was a hard right hand from Grushenko before he got back to the clinch and landed some knees in there. So when they both landed knees and both landed elbows in there, but Grushenko again got the better of it. Lovely uppercut back to the clinch. Herb broke them up. And Kong landed a couple, but it seemed like his power was gone at this stage, midpoint or towards the end of the third. And Grushenko was just picking him off with jabs, let's be honest here. Landing more in the last minute than Kong, but it just wasn't enough. And Grushenko was still landing the better, never in trouble, and he ended up winning the decision there. Then we had maybe the shock of the night as Bampara Koyate beat Luke Lisi. The fight started off with a lot of low kicks from both of them, but Koyate's were better, no shadow of a doubt about it. It was very, very evident very early here that Koyate was a much better fighter than Luke Lisi, and some lovely jabs off the back foot. Lisi was pushing the pace, but that's about all he was pushing, to be honest. Front kicks from Lisi were probably the best thing he landed in the first couple of minutes, but Koyate, his right hand, his elbows, cut Luke Lisi open. He turned to southpaw in, and he landed a hard left hand down through the middle. Definite round for him there. Lisi was just much slower. Low kicks again to start the second, and a few jabs from Koyate. Then Luke finally landed a hard right hand, and it got into the clinch, and they're thinking, okay, is this going to turn here now? But Koyate, a head kick and a right hand absolutely stung Lisi, as did a left hand after it, and there was a 3-punch combo from Koyate that had no answer from Lisi. Nothing on Luke's shots. Hard body kick stint in the second, and it was all Koyate through the first two. Third round was was unbelievable then. Very, very, very fun. There was a barrage of body kicks from Koyate. Koyate landed his hands, and I was thinking, okay, this fight is over here. But then Luke landed a right hand, and it was he was pushing forward, and I was thinking, what's happening here? You know, Koyate was on his bike, and next thing he was hurt. I was like, what's he after landing? I don't even know he's hurt. Not sure what happened. Went back and watched it, still not sure what happened. Uppercutting a barrage in, and Koyate goes down, and he gets a count. I'm thinking this fight is all over. And then Lisi goes for him, and then he Koyate lands this bolo uppercut, drops him down, and he's hurt bad. And Olivier Coste comes in, and he calls it, and he finishes the fight after Koyate, who himself has been knocked down, knocks down Luke Lisi afterwards. Now, could this fight have gone on? I might be a bit bloodthirsty, but when both of them are hurt like that, when one guy gets dropped like that, I might be a bit of an advocate for kind of another bit of violence there. Now, maybe I'm wrong. And I don't know if a towel came in or a word from the corner came in or something. Not sure, but I would have liked to seen another 30 seconds of that, and it wouldn't have lasted much longer. Let's be honest. But a great win from Koyate. He looked absolutely unbelievable in that fight, and very, very much deserved the win there. But Lisi almost got it back. I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch, actually. Let's get that rematch going. Then back to MMA, we had Tabiutsu Wada against Z Wei. Z the striker and Wada the wrestler. And, you know, Wada really had the better of it here throughout much of the fight. He got knocked down immediately though, and that was the biggest issue. But from then on, you know, how hard was that knockdown? It was a good knockdown, nice knockdown, but I don't think it's one of those ones like, oh, you've won the fight now, and the fight's over because you got knocked down. No. Vada failed on a takedown, and Z was landing some leg kicks, and he landed an uppercut. A lot of hand fighting. Wada landed a nice right hand, and you're kind of thinking, because like Z's the striker, but Wada was landing a lot of the better strikes throughout the fight. He landed a lovely jab. They were both landing, let's be honest here. Z landed a left hook, you know, he's kind of back into the backhand on his approach was very, very good. Wada pushed him to the clinch, and he landed some. He got the kind of the high body clinch, and got back out. But there was a hard right hand by Wada, and towards the end of the first, the best shot of the round, no doubt about it, against a guy like Z, who you look at Z Way and you think, right, there are many people in that division going to hit harder than him, but it felt like Wada was, apart from the first shot, obviously big elbows on top from Wada towards the end after he got to the clinch and the takedown there. So it was felt like he started the round very, very badly, but the rest of the round really was his. Hard exchanges to start the second. Wada aggressive, land some nice stuff. Both landed elbows and a clinch in the middle. And there was 3 right hands in 90 seconds from Wada. He really, really pushed the pace there, pushed him to the corner, and he was landing in the striking, but I thought he was getting a little bit tired. Now, that didn't turn out to be the case, but Z landed some knees to the body and landed a few elbows as well, and lots of open cage Muay Thai clinching here, which was happened throughout the night. Wada got a trip from that, and he lands in guard with maybe 90 seconds left, and some very good ground and pound, but not a massive, Z landed a few elbows from on top. And at this stage, like, the fight was very much, I think, in the melting pot. As I said, Wada was the better fighter throughout it, to be honest, but that big knockdown still counted. But in the third, I thought Wada was much better, He got the clinch, it broke. Wada was, sticking to him and landing some dirty boxing. Z did well to stay standing, to be honest, but now, like, he felt even more tired after he had to stop a few takedown attempts. Both land hard shots in the middle. Arguably, I would say Wada was landing the better, even though he's the wrestler. He lands a grounded knee as well, which was a big, big shot for me. Z just can't stop the fight from being close in together. He just couldn't stop it. He did land an elbow, but Wada answered back, and then he answered back with an elbow on a right hand, and he was just dominating, to be honest. But then Z did rock him with a right hand, but Wada came back. Almost, I'll be honest, it was almost 5 minutes of mid-range infighting there in the third round. And the fight went to Wada in the end, and I think correctly so. I think he was the justified winner of the fight. Probably the best knockout of the night then came in the Muay Thai between Ali Saldev and Black Panther. The first round, they started out with an exchange of kicks low and high. Black Panther rocked him with a right hand, knocked him down with a left hand, got up, knocked him down with a left hook again. The first one, it was when Saldev was throwing an elbow and he countered him with it. But Black Panther was just too quick on the counters. He was actually landing some good stuff, but Black Panther was just significantly more powerful. And then in the second, it only lasted, what did it last? Let me look at here. What is it? Oh, it lasted 23 seconds, yeah. I was like 3 minutes 23. I forgot the 3-minute rounds. 23 seconds in, Saldev goes straight forward attacking, and a counter right head kick knocks him into oblivion, and Black Panther gets the win 23 seconds in to the second round. Then in the next fight, back to MMA, we had a split decision win here for Hiroba Minowa against Jeremy Miyata, and this is a split decision written all over it. I'll get into, because there's a lot happened in this fight. Jeremy was pushing with the pressure, landing his jab, landing his lead leg kick, but Minowa was quickly countering off the ring with his double leg attempt. And you need to do that against a guy like Miyata, who's such a very good striker. But got to the clinch, and Jeremy got back out without being taken down, which was win number 1, I suppose, or win number 2 for him there at that stage. Left hook from Miato, followed by another and 2 right hands. Miato lands on the way back as well, and checks a hard leg kick. That hard leg kick was unbelievable. That the check on it. Oh my God, from Miato, like and then he dropped Minowa with a huge right hand after that. But it was a yellow card for Miato then for grabbing the cage, which I think Herb didn't give him 2 yellow cards, and for grabbing the fence, the cage. No, what's it called? A ring. Got him. Just get in the cage. Just please have a cage for these fights. The ring is so awful. I hate it. Minowa got a body lock takedown then. Jeremy got up quick. He landed a right hand and then 2 more. Minowa got a takedown into side control. He got up. Jeremy landed gets a takedown of his own. Up, scrambles. Minowa on top and lands some good ground and pound in the last minute of that. So, we had the big shots by Miato, but we also had some ground and pound. We had yellow cards and we had everything there. A hard jab from Jeremy starts the second, but a takedown from Minowa because Jeremy can't catch the ropes, basically. And Herb kept warning him, and then he was kind of going back at one stage, and he literally just pulled his own arms out from under him and just gave up a takedown at the start of the second. He got to the clinch, but Minowa held on for ages, nearly 4 minutes in the clinch there, briefly changing on the feed, but Minowa got another single leg against the ropes and got a takedown into half guard and a few elbow and a few punches there, so Minowa got ahead in that round. Minowa landed a left hook and it knocked out the mouthpiece at the start of the third. Then they were grappling, and there was another yellow card for apparently grabbing the fence, cage, ring, whatever it's called. I didn't really see that one either, to be honest. I think Herb got a bit mad there, and when he was on the ground, Herb put his mouthpiece back in. It was very weird. Into side control, into half guard, good ground and pound, control for about 3 minutes. Jeremy fought to get up, but he just couldn't. And it was a close fight. Again, a grueling fight. Minowa ended up getting the split decision on that one. They both needed a win, and Minowa got it, so he will move on. But I always watch a Miata fight. He's very fun. Then we had a Muay Thai bout between Alif and Barboza. So Alif was about a foot taller than him. Barboza landed some inside leg kicks, a high kick from Alif, and a spinning back kick were the best shots of the early goings here. Crowd were going absolutely insane for Alif. He was definitely the star of the night anyway. Apart from maybe Rug, which we'll get to in a second. He attacked the body in jabs very, very well. Elbows from Alif and a flying knees. Barboza was trying to leap with hooks, but he did better when he broke the distance. When he actually got inside and started landing shots, he did much better, which we'll see in a second. In the second round, Barboza was going hard, and he dropped him with a left hook in the corner. Rips high and low on restart, and Alif gets space. Alif got a body kick and a head kick, and Barboza slowed the pace, and Alif was just happy to pick shots. So I had this written in my notes in the first round. Barboza needed to get inside and land these shots. That's where he was doing the best thing. He knocks him down, nearly finishes him doing that in the second, and then he just gives up on it. So the third round, Barboza was fighting from the outside for some reason. I could not believe it. And Alif was just eating him up. Lands about 20 unanswered punches. Barboza right hand was reaching in. Landed a couple, but not massive. Alif lands a few back and rocks him with a right hand. He just picked him off from the outside. Barboza did okay, but he didn't attack in close, which was winning for him. And this fight went to Barboza, did it? In the split. Very, very close fight. I assumed this was a draw, and there's no draws in one championship, so they went back and they decided the winner because it was a definite 10-8 round. And then if I have let me just check it. Yes, definite 10-8 round and 2 10-9 rounds. So I think I haven't heard this, but I think it was a draw and it went back. And in the first 2 fights at night were probably, two very good knockouts. This Rug and Ketchup fight was Ketchup might be the worst fighter I've ever seen in my life. He was just like just I don't know what he was doing. He was just imagine me fighting. That's basically what we had here with Mamadou Kamara. He went for the clinch in a kickboxing match. The very start, it wasn't loud. He was throwing shots. But Umar Khan was just basically waiting on him, landed a left hook, down goes Ketchup. I've written in my notes. I got up, another right hand, And down goes Ketchup again. This time he did like the whole put my hands out, pretend that I'm knocked out type of thing, because he didn't want to get in there anymore. And thankfully the referee stopped it. But hadn't a clue how to fight, slapping shots. You know, you could argue for a place like One Championship, who prides themselves on being like martial arts and respecting it, that this fight shouldn't have happened and shouldn't happen again, something like this. And honestly, I think that's probably a good stance to take. Like, this is the sort of thing you see in Fight Circus or something like that, and it'd be fun. But look, Rug got an outing. I'm sure he got paid, and he'll be happy with that. But yeah, as a spectacle, not great. And in the kickoff fight of the night, my countryman Stefan Crowdy came out, and I'll tell you what, he went for it. He absolutely went for it against Alexei Bialko, who is a very, very good fighter. Crowdy, much bigger, and he started out with a flying knee. He was forward pressuring. Balco was landing his leg kicks though, and a left hook from Balco, and a second one almost dropped Crowdy. Then there was 2 more left hooks, and this time he was dropped. There was an 8 count. Crowdy recovered well though, and he was landing some leg kicks, but then another left hook came, and it absolutely slept a massive shot. Now, having said that, he was actually getting up as the end of the count kind of game, but it was definitely a good stoppage. He was hurt badly, and it was mesmeric that he was even thinking about getting up, but it was that left hook over and over and over. He just kept eating. But a great win for Alexei Balco there, and he will move on in that division. But a fun almost full round there of Muay Thai. So yeah, that is it for this card. Thank you very much to everybody for tuning in. I will leave it there. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.